right now we are outside Fjallkonan, and Fjallkonan, directly translated, means Lady of the Mountain. And Lady of the Mountain is our personification of Iceland. You know, just like the states have Uncle Sam, Britain has Britannia, Iceland got Lady of the Mountain. And inside this place, we are going to go for both a little meat and a little fish. Lightly cured Arctic char. For those of you unfamiliar with the Arctic char, it's basically like a salmon and a trout and a baby. You know? It's a salmon that's been chilling in the Arctic waters, came back a little leaner, a little more tender, a lot more forgiving on the salmony taste. You know, the char is in the salmon family, but only has a hint of it, I feel. And that char is resting on a chickpea pancake, also known as a bellini. And then we put some yuzu elderflower mayo on there. We put some fish eggs on top. And then when you bite into the char, you might feel a little crunch. Those are leftover bones that just got cooked into the char. I'm kidding, okay? That's a joke. Right? Crispy lentils, just to add to the texture of it, you know, just to make it a little crunchier, all right? No bones, promise. And then we turn our heads towards the other plate, and that is a slow-cooked, pulled lamb shoulder on a piece of flatbread from the Westfjords. And then we put some horseradish sauce on there, we put some carrot puree, and then we sprinkle some carrots and caramelized onions on top. Now, we really don't have any Icelandic tradition when it comes to eating. We just say bon appetit. Just kind of dig in, all right? So bon appetit. We are standing in Austurvöllur, and directly translated that means East Field. And this is where local life likes to come together, you know, especially in the summertime when we got sizzling hot, you know, 65 degrees Fahrenheit, 17 Celsius probably, right? This is where the locals like to, you know, venture out here, wearing only tank tops with a blanket, deck of playing cards, 6-pack of beer, kind of trying to soak out in the sun all day in like UV3, because that's the biggest or like the furthest we'll go, right? And that way we can skip one day where we don't have to supplement the vitamin D, right? But on the other hand, when we are unhappy, you know, when the citizens of Iceland are unhappy with the current government situation, this is a place where we get together and protest, right? And we picked this place right here because over there is our parliament. We are at our second stop, Messin, and for those of you who just read the sign, it is indeed a seafood restaurant. Now, Messin directly translated means mesh, and they're referring to the mesh deck of a ship, you know, where the cafeteria is, where the sailors eat. That's what we in Iceland call Messin. So when you step inside the place, you might notice that they have a kind of a ship-oriented theme going on in there. And inside this place, we're going to go for 2 plates as well. We're going to go for a completely different preparation of the Arctic char, just like the one that we had on our first stop. And then the other plate is a Sunday type dinner at grandma's place, a comfort meal, you know, Icelandic signature dish. It's so Icelandic we don't even have an English name for it. In Iceland we call it plokkfiskur, but for the sake of everyone here, we're just going to probably call it fish stew, just so that we all understand what we're talking about, right? But I want to keep doing the introduction when we get the plates in front of us, so let's just get warmed up. This is the completely different preparation of the Arctic char. This is a pan-fried, honey-glazed Arctic char with some locally sourced potatoes, tomatoes, greens, and then they sprinkle some almonds on top. And this is grandma's cooking, right? Every Icelander remembers eating this as a child. Every Icelandic grandma knows the recipe to this dish. Every Icelandic grandma's recipe is a little different from other grandmas, and they don't share their recipes, right, with other grandmas. And the grandma's recipe is always best, right? For example, my grandma's recipe is best. All right, you get it. But basically, what they do is they take some boiled cod and then they mash it together with potatoes, celery, white wine, onions, cream, butter, even more butter, right? There's a lot of butter in this. And then they spread some hollandaise sauce on top of the whole dish, also known as a béarnaise sauce in Iceland. Even more butter, right? But the butter doesn't have there because the traditional way, the Icelandic way of eating this dish is taking a piece of our rye bread putting some butter on that bread. And then when you finish putting butter, you scoop some of the fish stew on top of the bread and eat it that way. All right? That way you get the whole combinations of Icelandic flavors that we're going for. Welcome to the most popular restaurant in Reykjavik. This hot dog stand behind me called Bæjarins Besta Pylsur. Now, because there's a line now, I'm afraid that in the next couple of minutes it might get longer. So I'm just gonna take you guys to the line, and then I'll explain the backstory about this whole place when we're eating the hot dog. All right. But before we go to the line, what I recommend is a one with everything. Now, a one with everything is where you take a hot dog bun and then you put some raw onions on there. Then you put some crispy fried onions on there. Then on top of that, we put our Icelandic ketchup. And then we put our hot dog. And our hot dog is 80 to 85% Icelandic lamb. Then we add 10% beef and pork in there for texture and flavor. Sælir.
This guy, he knows what he's talking about.
And yes, 10% beef and pork added there for flavor. And then the rest is a hot dog, so we don't really talk about the rest, right? We all know what's going on, right? And then on top of that, we put our sinnep. And our sinnep is it's our Icelandic take on hot dog mustard. Not the same as the Sean, not nearly as aggressive, lot smoother and sweeter as well. And then we end it all with a Scandinavian delight special condiment called remuladi, or remulade, if you will. Kind of a curry relish, non-spicy condiment, but just enough to tie the flavors of the hot dog. At the next stop, we offer a little on-the-house beer tasting thing. All right, just gonna be right, but it's gonna be a small glass of our one of our most popular Icelandic beers called Viking Giltur, or the Viking Golden. And of course, for those who are hard to talk with, but for those who do not drink beer / alcohol, we offer an alternative. All right, that's gonna be the Icelandic orange soda called Appelsín. Very good as well. It's kind of like Fanta, but our take, so it's a lot better. We are outside Íslenski barinn, or the Icelandic bar. And as the name suggests, Icelandic food they serve, Icelandic drinks as well. They even only play Icelandic music on the radio in there. Nice. Right? And inside this place, we're going to go for a couple of things. Just be mindful of the cars over there. We're going to go for our beers and sodas, of course, but then we're going to go for something known as a traditional meat soup. Some of you might be thinking, why do you say meat soup? What kind of meat is in that, right? Well, back in the days when we were working with, or inventing the meat soup, there was only one type of meat that we were working with, and that was the Icelandic lamb, of course. And then we got some sourdough bread on the sides with some Icelandic with butter. But before we do all that, we gotta have an appetizer, just to make sure that everything from here on out tastes absolutely splendid, all right? And that is going to be a bite of the fermented shark. Yay. I like to lower the standards of everyone as much as I can, right? That's just so when you finish swallowing the shark, you will eventually go, it wasn't really that bad. You made it sound a whole lot worse. I was prepared for a lot worse things. That being said, the fermented shark was voted the world's worst food in 2023. And when you put the shark in your mouth, the first couple of chews are gonna be like, yeah, sure, it's like, I guess unpleasant, but not much more than that, But keep chewing, because it's around chew 8 to 9 we really start to feel the ammonia kick in. We are are sitting inside Cafe Loki. At Cafe Loki, this place, they're known for their 65-year-old rye bread recipe, just like the rye bread that we have, or that we had at our second stop, right? But we Icelanders like to be very resourceful with every food product that we get, you know, and it still applies today, so we don't like to waste anything. So what this place does with the rye bread that they don't sell is they take it back, chop it up, rebake it, and turn it into an ice cream. So what you have in front of you now is a traditional Icelandic rye bread ice cream, and then you got some whipped cream on top of that, and then the sauce is caramelized rhubarb syrup. Alright? Coffee in the silver containers, hot water in the black ones. Enjoy.